Episode 37, Married Woman. A Special Date. At the Lu residence. After putting little Bun to sleep and applying a face mask, Ningxi was ready to enjoy a good night's sleep when her phone suddenly lit up with a call from Ning Yaohua. Ningxi squinted and walked to the balcony to answer the call. Hello? Hello? What's with the hello? Don't you know how to address your father? Where's your upbringing? Are you sure you want to argue about this again? I hope there wasn't someone like you in the Ning family, but unfortunately, your blood runs in our veins, and that's something we can't erase. The disgrace you've brought to the Ning family with your filthy actions reflects poorly on all of us. You've been doing all these dirty things outside, and in the end, it's our Ning family's reputation that suffers. Don't tell me I'm wrong. I had people waiting outside your apartment for days, and you never came back. Where have you been these days, and where did you get that money? I warn you, Ningxi, I'll give you one last chance. Come back immediately and apologize to Shuelua. Also, I've arranged a proper job for you at our Singapore branch. The plane ticket is booked, get ready, you're leaving the day after tomorrow. 5 years ago, they banished her once, and now, they want to banish her again. Ningxi spoke each word deliberately. Chairman Ning, my blood indeed carries the Ning family name, but besides contributing a sperm, you've never raised me for a day. Even if I were to disgrace the Ning family to the Pacific Ocean, it still wouldn't be your place to judge me, let alone interfere with my life. Ningxi. You're being insolent. Consider the consequences of angering me. You? Ningxi hung up the phone, cutting off the raging voice on the other end. This time, she felt an unusual calmness in her heart. There was no anger, no disappointment, and no sadness. Hey, Ningxi. Suddenly, a soft call came from beside her. Ningxi turned her head and saw on the adjacent balcony, Lu Tingxiao was looking at her with concern. Surprised, Ningxi said, Lu Tingxiao, you haven't slept yet? Lu Tingxiao walked to the edge of his balcony, closer to hers. I heard some noise from the balcony, so I came to check. Are you okay? Ningundicesimo shragdeno shalantli, infine. It was Chairman Ning's call. He repeats the same script every time. Lu Tingxiao wasn't very good at comforting people. Standing across the balconies, he reached out and gently rubbed her head. Don't be upset. Ningxi smiled, and under the starlight, her expression was light and serene. I'm not upset. In this world, the ones who can hurt us are those we've invested feelings in. The more we care, the more we get hurt. But now, I won't get hurt anymore. Because she doesn't care anymore. The last time in the hospital was the last time she felt sorry for those people. From now on, she won't feel sorry anymore. Alright, I'm going to sleep now. I have to get up early tomorrow. Good night. Ningxi waved at him. Early? There's nothing important tomorrow. You can sleep a bit more. I need to get up early to buy groceries. Buy groceries? Why? Of course, to cook. I promised to cook a meal for you and little Bun. It's been delayed for so long, and I haven't done it yet. Your health has just improved. There's no rush. It's just buying groceries and cooking, it's not tiring at all. Besides, tomorrow is free for me. So, it's settled. By the way, remember to eat a bit less tomorrow, leave some room in your stomach. I guarantee you'll wish you had an extra stomach. Watching the girl's triumphant expression, Lu Tingxiao chuckled softly, okay. Early the next morning, Ningxi wore a light pink long dress with white low-heeled sandals. She had applied a refreshing light makeup, and her naturally curly hair was straightened and fell smoothly over her shoulders. As usual, she secured the pink heart-shaped hairpin in her hair. In summary, she looked like the epitome of a virtuous wife. When Lu Tingxiao, who was reading the newspaper on the sofa, saw her, he seemed momentarily surprised. Your outfit? If there wasn't a need for any special occasion, Ningxi usually dressed in a simple and convenient style. This was the first time he had seen her in something so ladylike. Excitedly bouncing over to him, Ningxi asked, how is it? Do I look like a married woman? Lu Tingxiao looked at her, and the gleam in his eyes carried a profound meaning. Yes, you do. A married woman. For words that held no beauty. Hee hee, great. This way, when I go to the market, I won't be overcharged. Ningxi nodded in satisfaction. I'm off then. Just as she was about to take a step, her legs couldn't move again. Little Bun had clung to her once more. Ningxi looked at her leg accessory with a wry smile. Hey, sweetheart. Why are you up so early too? Little Bun rubbed his sleepy eyes, opened his arms, and signaled for her to carry him. Ningxi had no choice but to pick him up. I'm just going to buy groceries. I'll be back soon. Little Bun still clung to her neck without letting go. Can I come with you? At this moment, Lu Tingxiao spoke up. Ningxi blinked. Oh, you guys are going too? It's a good time to take little treasure out for a walk, Lu Tingxiao explained. Little Bun vigorously nodded in agreement. Ningxi scratched her head. Sure, of course. It's a market, so it might be a bit dirty and chaotic. I'm not going to a supermarket, it's a bit far to a large market with the freshest ingredients. No problem, let's go, Lu Tingxiao said, putting down the newspaper and grabbing the car keys. So, Ningxi's solo trip turned into a family outing with Little Bun and Big Bun. In the underground garage. Looking at the row of dazzling luxury cars, Ningxi swallowed her saliva, especially when she saw her little white among them. Seeing that Ningxi couldn't take her eyes off the white Bugatti sports car, Lu Tingxiao asked, "Are you driving this one?" Ningxi snapped out of her daze and shook her head. Of course not. We're just going to the market. What's the point of driving a sports car? Do you have a more low-key one? She glanced around, but there really wasn't one. How could there be? However, Lu Tingxiao nodded. Yes. After saying that, he pressed a button or something, and a black car was transported from another compartment. This was a family car priced at around 500,000, and it seemed to be brand new. Ningxi nodded approvingly. This one is great. But why did Lu Tingxiao have such an out-of-place car? Seeming to sense her confusion, Lu Tingxiao explained, this was prepared for you when you first came. You just never drove it. Oh. So, this was the family car Lu Tingxiao had prepared for her initially. Seeing a somewhat lonely expression on Lu Tingxiao's face, Ningxi felt like she had committed a grave error and hurriedly explained, it's because taking the subway is more convenient for me in daily life, and there's less traffic. Now, let's change the topic. Shall we go quickly? If we're too late, all the good stuff will be picked over. As the car drove, Ningxi opened the window. The morning breeze was refreshing, soothing away the accumulated tension in her heart over the past few days. Lu Tingxiao turned on the radio, and the car was filled with a light and uplifting melody. Love confession balloon, the wind blows across the street, smiles flying in the sky. You said you were a bit hard to pursue, wanting me to know it's difficult to give up. Gifts don't need to be the most expensive, just the fallen leaves of the Champelasis. Oh, creating a romantic date, not afraid to mess everything up. Having you is having the whole world. My dear, I love you. Since that day, it's been sweet and easy. My dear, don't be willful. Your eyes are saying you're willing. The melody of the song was sweet, with a cheerful and summery feel, but Ningxi always felt something strange about it. They were just going to buy groceries, so why did it feel like they were on a date? And the lyrics, for some reason, they made her feel inexplicably guilty. Half an hour later, in this subtle atmosphere, they finally arrived at the market. Do you need a mask? Lu Tingxiao asked, somewhat concerned. This time, he didn't let the bodyguards accompany them to avoid disturbances. No need. The working people here don't have time to gossip. Besides, I'm so ladylike today, no one will recognize me. It's you and Little Treasure who probably need masks more. Ningxi teased. Although it was still early, there were already quite a few people in the market, bustling through the crowd. Worried that Little Treasure might not adapt, Ningxi bent down to pick him up. It was Little Treasure's first time in such a place, and he looked around with great interest, shifting his little head from her left shoulder to her right, completely focused. However, Little Bun had gained a bit of weight recently, and it was a bit challenging for Ningxi to carry him for a while. Lu Tingxiao promptly took Little Treasure from her hands. Let me carry him. Even though Little Bun was now in Lu Tingxiao's hands, his little hands still clung tightly to Ningxi's neck. Lu Tingxiao's expression turned serious. Do you know you're quite heavy? Hearing this, Little Bun immediately had a look of great disappointment, similar to when a girl was told she had gained weight. Though Ningxi found it amusing, she quickly comforted him. Don't listen to your dad's nonsense. You're not heavy at all, and you can even gain a bit more weight. It's just that Dad can hold you more steadily, and he's taller, giving you a better view. Little Treasure was reluctantly comforted, but he still stared at Ningxi intently, as if afraid she would disappear into the crowd. Wow, the fish over there looks so fresh. Ningxi exclaimed as she approached a fish stall. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her, then freed up his other hand and held hers. Ningxi was momentarily stunned, subconsciously looking at the hand that was being held. Her palm felt a bit warm. Ningxi was silent for a moment, then glanced at little treasure, only to discover that the little guy looked extremely anxious. "Oh, do you still want this fish, ma'am?" the fishmonger next to them asked. Ningxi hurriedly said, "Yes, yes, I've looked around, Auntie, your fish looks very lively." "Auntie, you have a good eye. You can ask around, and everyone knows that among all the fish in this market, our fish are the best." The fishmonger was proud. After listening for a while, Ningxi realized something was off. Did this auntie just call her ma'am? It was clear that she misunderstood them as a family of three. Never mind, explaining would be too troublesome, so Ningxi didn't bother explaining. "Auntie, give me one." "Sure thing." The auntie weighed the fish generously and gave her a little extra. After selling the fish, the auntie looked at Ningxi with admiration as she carried the child in her arms. "Ma'am, you're really fortunate. Both your husband and son are so handsome." Even in a place like the market, with a child in her arms, Lu Tingxiao still exuded an extraordinary charm. It was truly a kind of innate talent. "Haha, really? But I'm quite handsome too," Ningxi joked. Yes, the whole family is stunning. Especially your little darling. He's so adorable. He completely inherited the strengths of both you and your husband. Here, let me give you a smaller one for free," the auntie said. Ningxi subconsciously touched her face, wondering if she and Lu Tingxiao's strengths had been passed down. It seemed like it wasn't the first time she had heard such a comment. Following that, Ningxi, accompanied by Lu Tingxiao carrying little treasure, became the center of attention in the entire market. Wherever they went, vendors insisted on giving them something, be it green onions, garlic, eggs, fish, or shrimp. Ningxi's basket was almost overflowing. Ningxi had the expression of someone who had discovered a new method for getting rich and exclaimed excitedly, "I never thought bringing little treasure would have so many benefits. I'll bring him next time too." Little treasure nodded. Lu Tingxiao said, "Okay." In the end, the three of them returned home with a full load. Ningxi was in a great mood the whole way. Suddenly, she remembered something and called out, "Lu Tingxiao, do you know where my apartment is? Turn left at the next intersection. Do you want to go back?" Lu Tingxiao skillfully drove the car to her apartment building. Even though he had only been there once. Yes, I need to get my super secret spice. Wait for me," Ningxi said as she hurried into the apartment building. Soon, she came back down with the spice. While passing through the lobby, the receptionist stopped her in a hurry. "Hey, wait. Are you Ningxi? You have 2 packages that have been here for several days. Do you still want them?" She looked at Ningxi with extremely curious eyes, thinking that Ningxi hadn't lived there for a long time and probably had been kept by someone. Ignoring the receptionist's scrutiny, Ningxi directly took the 2 boxes and left. As she reached the doorway, she saw little treasure eagerly looking out of the car window from the opposite side. Ningxi's gaze was warm, but the next moment, her sight was suddenly invaded by 3 ominous-looking men in black rushing towards her. Reflexively on high alert, Ningxi put down what she was holding and tore at her skirt, then kicked one of them as he approached. Completely caught off guard, the man was sent flying. The other 2 men were stunned for quite a while before coming back to their senses. Subsequently, they glared at her with even more ferocity and advanced towards her. Ningxi, constrained by her ladylike appearance, struggled to handle the 2 men in the scuffle. Just as she was entangled with the 2, another person rushed over from behind and grabbed her arm, attempting to tie her up with a rope. Ningxi was about to retaliate when the person's hand suddenly left her arm, and a heart-wrenching scream echoed. Almost hearing the sound of the person's hand bones breaking, Ningxi followed the person's arm with her gaze, only to see Lu Tingxiao, who had arrived without her noticing. His face was cold, exuding a chilling killing intent, and his hand was firmly gripping the wrist of the person. Lu Tingxiao's hand made a subtle movement, and then the person was seen spinning horizontally after being tossed, landing like a broken sack, unmoving on the ground. Perhaps because Lu Tingxiao's move was too brutal, the other 3 subconsciously took a step back, exchanging glances. "Are you okay?" When Lu Tingxiao turned to Ningxi, a hint of lingering ruthlessness remained in his eyes. "Ningundicesimo nodded blankly, infine." She had never seen Lu Tingxiao make a move. Most of the time, she even thought Lu Tingxiao was gentle and refined. She never expected his skills to be so astonishing. At this moment, a black Ferrari slowly pulled over, and a person stepped out of the car. It was Ning Yaohua in a Giorgio Armani suit. Ning Yaohua looked at the man beside Ning Shi with disdain, then glanced at the car parked downstairs. Ning Shi, is this the man you've been fooling around with recently? Driving a car worth only a few $100,000. Ning Shi almost burst into laughter. So, for you, the standard for judging a man is based on the car he drives? It seemed like according to him, he wasn't concerned about her being kept, but rather about whether the person keeping her had enough power and status. If she were being kept by someone driving a Bentley, would it be more noble? Do you still need to judge a person by their car? I thought you found someone extraordinary. You actually found a half-assed pretty boy. The more you live, the more you regress. Ning Yaohua cursed arrogantly. Even though this man looked good, driving this kind of car, at most, he was just the owner of a small company. He actually called Lu Tingxiao a pretty boy. After scolding Ning Shi, Ning Yaohua arrogantly looked at Lu Tingxiao. Who are you? Do you know who she is? How dare you play with my daughter, even I, Ning Yaohua's daughter. I can make sure you won't be able to survive in the capital. Lu Tingxiao usually refrained from using many words in front of outsiders, and now facing Ning Yaohua, he looked down on him even more, not giving him a single glance. Ning Yaohua was initially going to continue humiliating the man, but for some reason, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart and couldn't say another word. Why did this small business owner have such an imposing aura? Humph, his useless daughter must have been deceived by his pretentious appearance. Ning Shi, what I said last night is still valid. You can still choose to come back with me now. Ning Yaohua said, adopting a condescending tone. Ning Shi playfully hooked her lips and affectionately wrapped her arms around Lu Tingxiao's arm. Sorry, I choose my little white face from home. You can go back to wherever you came from. Ning Shi. You will regret this. Watching the two walk away hand in hand, Ning Yaohua was furious. Then he glared at the bodyguard beside him and commanded, follow them. Today, too many unexpected things happened. One was Ning Shi's skills, considering he remembered his daughter being weak and helpless. The other was the man's identity. He always felt that something was off. Back in the car, Ning Shi immediately scratched her head and apologized to Lu Tingxiao. Sorry. You got scolded for no reason. It's fine. Even though he was scolded, Lu Tingxiao was not angry at all. The reason? It was because of Ning Shi's last action. Even with the addition of the term little white face, it became a sweet nickname due to her adding my home as a modifier.